Pleased to meet you. My name's Yasmin, and I'm a traveling chef making my way through Appalachia. I bet you're wondering why I'm here. That's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about. Well, I've been a recipe collector all my life, and found myself on the road again recently. I moved from place to place, getting to know people and swapping stories and family recipes along the way. It's my way of preserving and passing along the knowledge of my trade. Well, I look for a chance to introduce myself and start a conversation. I can usually tell if someone's up for a meal or willing to have a friendly chat. I'm looking for a safe place to practice making the local recipes I've learned. Your camp seems like the perfect spot. Let me set up here and I'll share my meals with you. You're also welcome to buy copies of the recipes I've gathered. Well, think of it this way. Sharing the work will free up time for your other interests. And you won't have to worry about me using your supplies. I forage or trade for everything I need. All I ask is that you give me a chance to show what I can do. Oh, thank goodness. I was afraid I was gonna have to give you the hard sell. No more tossing food onto the coals and hoping for the best. Just because you live in a camp doesn't mean you have to eat like a camper. Well, I'll be sharing the food I make, but there is a cost to documenting and preserving the recipes I find. Think of it as donating a few caps to help me stay supplied. I can spend more time turning up new recipes you can't live without. Oh, Chef Hernandez drilled that into us on the first day of culinary school. Getting diners sick is the best way to make your career a short one. I won't be in your way. I'd only need a little space for my equipment. You're even welcome to use it when I'm not cooking. Imagine the aroma of a steaming pot of Appalachia chili welcoming you home from a long day of scavenging. What do you say? Well, I will too. I'll be able to get a lot more cooking done if I don't have to look over my shoulder at the same time. That's good enough for me. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to get started setting up. My work keeps me busy, so you'll hardly notice me. All you have to do is ask if you'd like something. Or just want to chat. I gave a cooking lesson to some scavengers today. You should have seen their, creative squirrel bits appetizer. I've got something that'll hit the spot. Oh, you're just in time to sample my braised megasloth and green. I meant to make mud cookies today, but I didn't get around to it. Anyway, how can I help? Haha, of course. I love talking shop. Kitchen, whatever. If I'm not at the stove, feel free to help yourself. There's plenty to do with gathering ingredients and going over my notes. I wanted to have a record of everything I made, so I started our family cookbook when I was 6. At first it was meals I learned from Grandma, and as I got older I added my own creations. When the bombs fell, I was on a research trip, developing recipes for my own restaurant. Those notes grew into the collection I have today. I trade them, of course, but I also use them to teach others how to cook for themselves. Before the war, it was easy to find a dozen versions of a dish. I want to rediscover and preserve that knowledge for those who come after us. I used to want to open my own restaurant, but now I think a cooking school would serve better. Well, I'm glad you see the value in it, but I still need to work out some of the details. It'll be my small way of leaving the world a little better. Food does more than just keep you going. For me, it's always been a way to keep family traditions alive and find common ground with people I meet. I want to help others create new traditions to pass on. Sure. Ah ha ha, my favorite part of traveling. What do you want to know? That's a rather long story. After the war, I joined a group of survivors building a settlement in the ruins of an old resort in the Poconos. We built my kitchen first. It was the center of town. The place you'd go for a warm meal in the company of friends after a long day. We had 15 good years before the raiders came. They destroyed the town and scattered those of us they didn't kill. I escaped with my notes and just headed towards Appalachia. But then I remembered all the stories I'd heard about the recipes locals like Delbert Winters had created. So I set out to learn more about Appalachian cooking traditions. New and old. Well, raiders attacked the settlement I'd built with other survivors. Some of us managed to escape. Most weren't so lucky. I had my notes and stories from travelers about Appalachian cuisine, so I set out. That's just it. I don't know. We only had time to say a short goodbye and decided it was best to separate. It was harder for the raiders to follow us that way. But it meant I might never see my friends again either. No, they weren't just my friends. They were my second family. I keep thinking maybe I'll find them in the next settlement if I just keep on going. Oh, I've gathered dozens of recipes for everything from a pot of apple chili to a hearty Yao Guai roast. I want to learn more about Appalachia's celebrations and the foods that go with them. Helvetia! I think I've traveled through there, but now I'll definitely have to visit again. Fastnacht goes back a long way, doesn't it? Oh, it's wonderful to see people keeping the tradition alive with food and festivities. That's exactly the kind of thing I'm looking for. I just hope the grill master will share their secrets with me. You know, I met a trader that told me the same thing. He said something about an old family recipe that's since been lost. Whew. Of course now, that means I have to get my hands on it. If I can track it down, that is. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to discuss? I was born in Philadelphia, spent my whole life there until culinary school. After graduating, I went back to Philly to be near my family while I started making a name for myself as a chef. My dream was to open my own restaurant. Please, don't be. I never expected to find myself traveling this way, but I sure don't regret it. I'm still doing what I've always loved. Preparing meals, learning new recipes, finding small ways to pass that knowledge on. You're right, of course. But it took time to realize the war didn't just steal my future. What helped was understanding there was something I could do about that. I could use my skills to help others adapt. Yes, most of the time. I've traveled with groups and cooked for caravans, but I like setting my own schedule. Well, sure. I mean, it's always at the back of my mind. You can't tell me you don't think about that, too. But I've learned how to avoid danger, and I can defend myself if it comes to that. That's it. Most people I meet aren't looking for a fight. A warm meal and a conversation are far more common. And I have field dressed and cooked a lot of them. And one of the first people I met in Appalachia was a hunter who taught me how to spot animal tracks. In return, I showed her how to make a respectable meal with anything we caught. What's on your mind? That's fine with me. Don't forget to stock up if you're heading out again. Tell me if you see anything you like. Sure thing. Let me get out my notes for you. Oh, there are some classics here. Let me know if anything catches your eye. Well, the Wayward is the only real restaurant I've seen out here, and I'm not in a hurry to apply to be their cook. Is there something you need? Pull up a chair and tell me about your latest adventure. I'm working on something unique, but I haven't worked up the courage to ask you to sample it yet. Oh, I've found some promising recipes. But don't worry, I won't sell you anything I haven't made and tried myself. Hello? I just pulled a fresh batch of blackberry honey crisp out of the oven. Tried any new... I would have liked to visit Big Fred's barbecue shack before the war. Sorry, what's on your mind? How you doing? I've met a lot of resourceful wasteland cooks in my travels, and I've also seen my share of crimes against food. I like the spot you chose here. Lots of opportunities to gather ingredients for my projects. I always have something cooking. Hello? Oh, I brought back some beautiful produce from my latest trip. There are times when I miss a real kitchen, but there's pride in making do with what you've got. I meant to make mud cookies today, but I didn't get around to it. Anyway, how can I help? Hi there. I gave a cooking lesson to some scavengers today. You should have seen their, creative squirrel bits appetizer.